All right, what's going on, my friends? 3 o'clock chat here. And whoa, that was the wrong data. Where did it go? Anthony Simons missed a three at the buzzer. The Blazers fall in Chicago 110 to 107. Ayton had 25 and 15, eighth double double in his last 9 games. The Blazers return home, 3-game homestand. Clippers are in town tomorrow. Tip at 7. Game day at 4:30 here in your home of the Blazers. 620 Rip City Radio. Portland now 19 and 49, fifth worst record in the NBA. The tournament gets underway today with the first four. Wagner and Howard coming up at 3:40, followed by Colorado State and Virginia. Both games on True TV from the NFL. Mike Williams signs a 1-year deal with the Jets. Chase Young, $13 million from the Saints, and Trent Brown inks a 1-year deal with the Bengals. Browns are giving Jerry Jeudy a 3-year extension worth $41 million. Rip City Drive is coming up next. It's a Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. We have 3 pairs of tickets to give away today for the Clippers and Nuggets. Listen to me for your chance to win. Shacker busting out a little rock set on this Tuesday afternoon. This reminds me of the summer of 1990, hanging out in Ponca City, Oklahoma, with my cousins and my Nana and my aunt. All right, good memories. Sorry about the screw up on the update. This is what's happening right now. The Trailblazer season is causing me to lose my mind. I had forgotten because when I got in, I wrote my update. I usually write the sports update when I first get in the studio because if I don't, I'll forget and get busy with other stuff. I had forgotten that I started or opened up the update when I typed it out in regards to the Trailblazers. So when I first looked at the Word document and it said Anthony Simons, I thought that it was notes from my game log from last night. And so I got all mixed up in my mind before I recognized, oh, no, that's the update. That's what's happening, man. Too many basketball games. The NBA season is really long. And with 14 games to go, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I love covering games. I love doing game day and fifth quarter. But right now, with this sunshine, my mind is in other places, as I'm sure you all have experienced as well. Big show today. Michael Shacker is here. The Godfather is somewhere in the Amazon rainforest. Can't imagine that. I can't even imagine what that looks like. The Godfather in the Amazon. You got to be kidding me. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. We have 3 pairs of Trailblazer tickets. We'll do a pair at 4. We'll have a pair at 4:45, and we're going to play Name That Tune at 5. 3 pairs of tickets. Listen to me for your chance to win every Tuesday throughout the entire Trailblazer season is Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday here on the Rip City Drive. Dave Bartoo! Bartoo is going to join me from the Matrix 320. He's got his model on the NCAA tournament. So I want to see how he's handicapping it. We're going to talk about games. We're going to hit the point spreads. And we're going to look at everything from a betting angle. Bartoo is one of the most interesting men in the entire world. Love talking with him. Colin Amos, Goldberg Jones, going to be in studio at 4:20 to answer your questions. I also want to ask him about that crazy Yankee story from a couple of weeks ago, the 50-year anniversary of the 2 teammates that swapped wives and families. I just want to know what the legal aspect on that situation would be. Brian Noel, Fox Sports Radio, one of our favorites, at 5:20. We got to talk NFL draft. I want to get his take on the quarterbacks. Now 4 expected in the top 6. And we're going to focus in on free agency. So Bino is coming up at 5:20. We'll get to, I finished the Dynasty on Apple TV that focuses in on the New England Patriots 20-year run. I'll give you my review here in just a moment, but real quick, this is fascinating to me with the NFL draft. All right, so you remember last week, Benjamin Albright, one of our insiders, he's great, love him to death. He works in Denver. He came on, and at that time, and I trust his information. And the reason why I always turn to him for info is because he's well connected. He's got good relationships that he shares information with people around the league. So he's very plugged in. And at the time when he came on last week, he said, "Hey, I now think that 4 quarterbacks are going to go in the first 6 picks. 4 in the first 6." Now that's not a surprise because quarterbacks are highly valued around the league. You know that, and I know that. But this year it's a little bit different. But what's happening right now is we've got another mock draft out. This one here from Daniel Jeremiah, who's one of the best. And this is what he has in the top 5. He's got Chicago taking Caleb Williams at number 1. I don't think that's a surprise. I think everyone expects Williams to go number 1. He is by far the best quarterback in the draft. He's a generational talent. I think he's going to be a super stud. And he fits the same list of guys, the best prospects that are basically can't miss, which would include John Elway, Peyton Manning, Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck, and I think Caleb fits that category. Can't miss. He's awesome. He is going to be a super stud. Washington at number 2, he's got the Commanders taking Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. At number 3, Jaden Daniels from ASU and LSU, quarterback going to New England. Now, I've thought that New England could potentially be a target from teams wanting to move up. They could look at New England because the one thing I know about the Patriots, if you talk to people around that team, and they've got a new head coach in Gerard Mayo, they have significant need, not just at quarterback, but across the entire roster. That is a team desperately in need of talent. They're depleted, a depleted roster. So they could be a team that might be interested in moving back to collect more picks to be able to grab more players so they can stockpile. If they don't find one of those quarterbacks that they love, I think they do love Daniels and would draft him if the Commanders end up taking Drake May. The reason why it's hard for me to understand Drake May going to the Commanders because Cliff Kingsbury's their offensive coordinator. And he runs that air raid offense. I would think that Jaden Daniels would be a better fit for that offense than Drake May. So my guess would be this. If Daniels goes 2, then I'm not convinced the Patriots would take Drake May, and they may look to move back. But Daniel Jeremiah has the Patriots taking Daniels and Drake May going number 2. And at number 4, he has the Minnesota Vikings selecting J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. And Albright also had J.J. McCarthy going in the top 6 as well, and Minnesota being the team that would take him. Albright had the Vikings moving up to 6. Jeremiah has them moving up to number 4. But this continues this recent trend of the meteoric rise of J.J. McCarthy coming out of the combine. And look, I don't know about J.J. McCarthy. I like what I saw, but the problem is I didn't see enough of him having to lead his team and having that pressure on him to move the chains through the air when the defense knew what was coming because Michigan was so dominant. But I do know what former players, scouts, and what we're hearing coming out of the NFL, what they like about him. He's a guy coming out of the pro-style offense. He has to make NFL-type reads, work through his progressions, get the players set in the right position, get the protection called out. I mean, this guy's doing all the big boy stuff at the line of scrimmage. And you need to be able to do that. The 2 most important things in the NFL are processing and delivering the football on time and on target. And McCarthy can do that. He also is good at delivering the football over the middle of the field. A lot of college quarterbacks are throwing outside the numbers. In the NFL, you've got to be able to layer throws over the top of a linebacker, in front of a safety, third down, high pressure pack type situations, and you got to be good at that. And McCarthy's also young, and McCarthy also has the character and all the different little attributes you want to see in a guy. Very smart. So there you have it. Albright last week calling it, and now we get another guy in Daniel Jeremiah. The bottom line is Minnesota's taking a quarterback. They went out last week and got that extra first-round pick from the Texans. They're sitting there at number 11. They just lost Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. So Minnesota is going to do whatever is necessary to land J.J. McCarthy. The question is, will it be at number 4? Will it be at number 6 with the Giants? Are there going to be other teams enamored with J.J. McCarthy willing to do whatever it takes to land him? And where is Minnesota going to jump up to? So we'll keep an eye on those things. Arizona is an obvious choice at number 4 because they have their quarterback in Kyler Murray. And teams that already have a quarterback know that these other quarterback desperate teams are going to do whatever it takes to move up. So there you have it. That's the latest in regards to the draft, which is coming up next month. Now, I did complete the Patriots Dynasty. I watched the final 2 episodes of Dynasty on Apple TV a couple of nights ago. I highly recommend it. I am a Broncos fan and generally hate the Patriots, but I do appreciate greatness. I like dynasties in all sports. And with the big names like Kraft, Brady, and Belichick, you can't go wrong with the show. The doc is very well done. My main takeaways from the doc, Bob Kraft is an incredible owner and one who is widely respected in the league by other owners. He truly loves New England, his team, and his players. Smart businessman. He came off as a very real human, as a very rich man. I like the guy. And if he's an owner of your team, you're going to be very happy because you know he's going to do whatever it takes to win, and he's going to spend whatever is necessary to make that happen. And that's really, what else do you want from an owner? He loves the area, loves the team, and wants to win and is willing to spend to do it. Thank you very much. That's all I need from you. I don't care what political candidates you support. I don't care about this and that or any other nonsense. Do you want to win? Do you love the team? And are you willing to spend to do it? If you can answer yes to those questions, I'm down. I'm in. Belichick is frustrating in the doc because he doesn't offer much of anything. And as a result, the hoodie comes off looking like a bad guy, like a Bitterman. And from my understanding, this doc was supplied heavily with information from the Crafts. It was really their point of view. And from what I understand, Bill went into it wanting to learn and find out what the doc was about. He was trying to gather information and did not go into it wanting to contribute anything. So he comes off tone deaf towards the end, incredibly hard to play for, and he and Brady clearly hated one another in the end. Also, there is no answer, and no one seems to know why Malcolm Butler did not play in Super Bowl 53. The players, the coaches, no one knows. Bill does, but he didn't really share anything. But I did walk away with more respect for Bill as a coach and a decision maker. I'll always credit Brady more than Bill in regards to the dynasty because he's the Hall of Fame quarterback. But Belichick was the one who had the vision to move on from Drew Bledsoe and start Brady. Incredibly ballsy move at the time, but he had the vision, and it paid off tenfold. He had 2 great coaching efforts against the Rams in Super Bowls where he came up with great defensive game plans to help his team get the win. Always knew how to plug guys into the right position and get the most out of them. And one of the great defensive minds in the history of sport. But he is a cheater and a Bitterman, so there is that. Tom Brady comes off as very likable and vulnerable. He is insanely competitive. He loves football. And based on how he got his job when Bledsoe got hurt, it drove him to work and prepare harder than anyone on the team to keep his job. I credit Tom for his willingness to put team ahead of self for 20 years. He allowed Belichick to coach him like a journeyman. He chose to take a little less money, and those sacrifices helped push the team to 6 Super Bowls. Also, no doubt in my mind that Belichick and Brady both were involved in their own cheating matters. Brady had his dudes deflate footballs. I'm pretty certain of it after watching the doc, and Belichick, of course, was caught filming the Jets. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, but, of course, it goes down on the record. Deion Branch and Randy Moss are great figures in the doc. The Aaron Hernandez portion is unsettling, and Gronk is terrific. And I thought the best figure was Drew Bledsoe. He's had over 20 years to decompress, but he came off as honest, real, and shared great insight from all angles and his experiences. Bledsoe's just super cool. But I enjoyed the doc. I highly recommend it. Check it out. I'm always looking for good sports docs. All right, when we come back, we're going to dive into the tournament, and we're going to get winners and losers. So get your pen and paper ready. Dave Bartoo is up next on the Rip City Drive. All right, the tournament gets underway in 20 minutes with the first four, Howard and Wagner. Our next guest is the co-founder of CFB Analytical, college football and NFL premier staffing analytics firm. You know him from College Football Matrix. You could check out his Patreon account, patreon.com/college football matrix. Dave Bartoo is back. What's up, Bartoo?
Dude, just dabbling in the dark arts of college basketball brackets here, baby.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Before we get to the basketball and the different things you found out with your model, you've got something cool going on right now with Hemp for Pros. You can go to hempforpros.com, and it looks like you've got a special Go Ducks coupon code, 44.4%. How did you come up with that number?
Well, that was their shooting percentage in beating everybody in the Pac-12 tournament, baby. So I don't get a whole lot of perks as an owner here, as a co-owner, but we just signed a contract with the NFL Alumni Association, hence the hempforpros.com. But I got my own coupon code for 24 hours, Go Ducks, 44.4% off, and it's right here in your backyard. We're out here in Hillsboro, so not only are you supporting NFL alumni in need, but you're also supporting a local business right here in Oregon, baby.
That's awesome. Hempforpros.com. Go Ducks is the coupon, 44.4%, their shooting percentage as they won the Pac-12 championship, and it looks like they needed that to get into the tournament. So before we get to specific games, I want to know from you, when you look at the bracket as a whole, UConn, Houston, Purdue, and North Carolina, your number one seeds. Like, what jumps out at you when you look at the tournament as a whole, when you start applying your model? What came to mind? What did you see?
Well, I mean, the first thing I saw is this, holy crap, this East bracket. The brackets were coming out, and I wasn't really paying attention to it, and my son comes running upstairs, and he's like, check this out. UConn, Auburn, Illinois, and Iowa State. And I was like, oh, my God. That is horrible. From the standpoint of how these teams are playing, UConn has the number one scoring efficiency offense in the country on the road this year. Auburn, number 9 offensive scoring efficiency on the road, 36th on defense. Illinois, number 2 offensive scoring efficiency on the road in the country this year. I mean, this is as tough as a 1 through 4. If there's an upset, if it isn't 1, 2, 3, 4, to kind of tease what we're talking about, I will be shocked, because that is easily by far the toughest 1 through 4 in the brackets. I just started messing around in the Midwest bracket, over there where Oregon is and so forth. But there is, that is just a really wicked bracket. And I think is it the South? Dude, the South is weak as hell, man. Holy moly. I just don't see – I'd love to pick these guys' brains how they decided to match these teams up. But as you know, my opinion is a little bit different in terms of what I look at.
Yeah, no doubt. So basically what you're saying is UConn has a very difficult path to get to the Final Four. Houston in the South may have an easier path if you're looking at the top seeds. Yeah,
much. Well, look at Houston has Longwood. And then they have A&M, UConn, Stetson, and the FAU Northwestern winner. I got FAU by a little bit there, but then you got UConn. They have to go through Auburn, and then they're going to have to go through Illinois. So they're going to have to play 2 top 10 offenses. I don't think they get past Auburn, though, man. I don't think they get past Auburn. I got Auburn to the Final Four. I think it's the best team in the bracket at the number 4 seed.
What do you think is the key metric that determines success for these teams in the tournament?
There's a couple things. I think overall you're looking for an elite offense to get hot, right? There's so many teams in the tournament. Look, offenses. With a one and done, it just takes one offense having an off night and you're toast, right?
Yes.
Unlike the NBA where, the best team is usually going to win out. But if you get an offense that gets comfortable and rolling in the tournament, that's just really going to be tough to beat. And I think that's one of the reasons why this bracket is so tough. With UConn, Auburn, and Illinois, all top 5 or top 10 offenses. I know you got some great defenses out there, like a Houston. But here's the thing, like with Houston, for example, man, and this is why I keep talking. People are listening and might be going, why is he always talking about road numbers? Well, in men's college basketball, road versus home is the biggest performance disparity in college sports. College football hardly has any difference between road and home performance. But in men's college basketball, look, Houston by far and away has the number one defense at home. You know how many home games they get this month? None.
That's right.
Their road scoring efficiency defense goes from number 1 to number 90.
Wow.
Number 90, right? So looking at Houston, everybody is looking at Houston through the lens of all the games they played. I throw out all the home games because you ain't playing a home game, man. Those are gone. And so with the Houston, you have a big drop off there. Another classic one is Alabama. This is amazing to me, right? Alabama, top 5. In fact, the number 4 scoring efficiency offense on the road this year. Their defense, though, on the road is 361st out of 362. They have the second worst scoring efficiency defense on the road in all of college basketball. And if you look at their numbers, like in the tournament and their road games this month, they're giving up 100 points every game. They can't stop anything. They have a great offense, sure, but one bad night, they're toast. So I'm looking for teams that are really, really good on the road. Illinois is the same way. Number 2 offense, bottom 50 defense. I think they're gonna get bounced by Auburn, or if UConn beats Auburn, I think it's Auburn and UConn for that spot.
All right, we're talking with Dave Bartoo here on the Rip City Drive. Let's dive into the games. Let's start with the very first game that people will be tuned into on Thursday morning. It's on CBS at 9:15. Michigan State, the 9 seed, taking on Mississippi State, the 8 seed in the West region. And right now,
do we have lines? Do you have a line on that yet?
Michigan State minus 1.5.
Oh, dude, give me Mississippi State all day, baby. I got Mississippi State 72-70 over Michigan State. Now, I'm going to give folks when I'm talking about projections, my numbers are all going to be close because I use an averaging projection. So I'm not great with really big spreads. I'm looking for winners here. Mississippi State this year on the road, 30th in road scoring efficiency. Michigan State offense, 163. You go the other way, Mississippi State on the road, 134 scoring efficiency offense. Michigan State on the road, 225th. Mississippi State has Michigan State covered, in my opinion, on both sides, offensively and defensively. And when I got a pick like that, dude, give me the points. I say Mississippi State is going to win this game straight up and cover this thing on Thursday morning.
All right, perfect. A lot of BYU fans out here in the East region, 9:40 on True TV. Duquesne against BYU, and right now the Cougars favored by 9.5.
Oh, shoot. Give me all the points, baby. Give me all the points. The Cougars, look, the Cougars were rough on the road on defense this year. Now, I know it was the first year in the Big 12, but they're 226 in the country on the road, 118th offensively. Duquesne, 104 offensively, 119 defensively. I got this modeled much, much closer than that. I got it 145 total points, and I have Duquesne covering that. If I was going to bet something, I'm going to bet the cover on that. It's really a coin toss, though. I got 72.65 to 72.77. And is this a 12-5 or a 6-11 matchup? Because you know how much of a stinker those can be.
That's right. It's a 6-11.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't know about you. We're all looking forward to 6-11 and 5-12, right? Because we know there's going to be trouble there. This is certainly one. BYU, do not look ahead to Illinois. I don't think BYU is a bad team. I just don't think overall that they're that good. Watch for their shooting. If they struggle from the shooting side of it, they don't have the defense to back it up. They're going to have to win this game shooting the ball, not playing great defense on the road.
All right, Dave. Another game. This is a Pac-12 team here. Washington State. This is 7:05 tip-off on True TV. They're taking on Drake. This is a 10-7 matchup, and right now Drake favored by 1.5.
Oh, dude, and I got Drake by 1.70, baby. So what are we getting in this game? Okay, Drake 18th in offensive scoring efficiency on the road. Washington State 232nd. This Washington State offense doesn't travel. It doesn't. The defense travels. Okay, 77th in the country. So the really big matchup is that Washington State defense going up against the Drake offense. But when you look across the board, everything is really, really even. To me, Washington State fan, if you're going to win this game, I think it's going to be inside the 3-point line. They're 143rd in field goal scoring efficiency inside the 3-point line. Drake's defense inside the three is 261. I think that's their edge. I think Washington State has to be scoring inside. Everything else is really even. If this is a close game, watch Drake pull it out, because Washington State on the road is not good at getting to the free throw line. They're 245th in the country. Drake is 11th on the road in free throw shooting efficiency. They don't let the teams get to the line very much. That's bad news for Washington State in a tight ball game.
Oh, I'm loving this, Dave Bartoo. All right, in the Midwest region, a 13-4 matchup. Kansas and Samford. The Jayhawks had a rough patch throughout Big 12 play this year. The Jayhawks are favored by 8.5. What do you think about Samford and Kansas?
Oh, dude, I hate games like this, man, because it's just easy to go Kansas, right?
Yes.
33rd in road scoring efficiency defense. We know they vastly out-recruit Samford by a country mile. But Kansas, remember, they had 2 starters hurt, and they got bounced in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. If those guys aren't playing, this is the wrong team to play. Samford has some of the best road scoring offense and defensive efficiency numbers in college basketball this year. Number 10 on defense, number 79 on offense. I think this one's going to be close. I don't know. And here's where the big kicker is. Kansas is 353rd in three-point scoring efficiency. 353rd. Samford is 51st in three-point efficiency defense. So if Samford's going to win this game, I think it's going to be shutting down the Kansas 3. I'd circle this thing, dude. If those guys aren't playing, this is absolutely upset alert and play. I'll take Samford to cover. I don't have the guts to say they're going to win it, because that is just a big talent gap right there. But this is a really bad matchup for Kansas trying to get right.
All right, Dave, here's another good one. 11-6 matchup in the South region, 6:40 on CBS Thursday. NC State taking on Texas Tech, and right now Tech is a 5.5-point favorite.
Oh, give me all the points, baby. I will gobble those up. Gobble, 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 gobble. Texas, this is an offensive game, too, man. I have this modeled 76-75 NC State. Why? Texas Tech is 30th in road scoring efficiency this year. NC State is 47th. I know, I mean, look, you and I were both shocked that NC State beat Duke and beat North Carolina. But coming into that tournament, I had this as the third best road team in the ACC. So while those were huge upsets, this is a really, really good road team. Texas Tech on the road, 191st. In scoring efficiency defense on the road. They have the worst unit on the floor. They have the best unit on the floor. That is a lot of points. If you just said guess the points, Dave, I'd have been like 2.5, 3.5. So I will take NC State to absolutely cover in this ball game. But who's going to win it straight up? Well, I'm going to go with the model. I'm sticking with NC State, keeping the kettle hot and rolling over the Red Raiders in this opening round.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, this one here is interesting. Tennessee is a 2 seed in the Midwest region. They're taking on the 15 seed St. Peter's. Tennessee favored by 21.5, but Volunteer fans are nervous because Rick Barnes has such a poor history in the tournament. What's your take here?
Oh, God, which fan isn't nervous? Dude, only one team gets to win.
That's right.
Right? Yep. Only one team gets to win. Tennessee is a really tough ball club. 62 in road scoring efficiency offense, 92nd in defense. It's a very, very balanced team. Where they're going to struggle against St. Peter's. St. Peter's is great at guarding the three-point line. Their defense against the three is 20th in the country. Tennessee is 245th in road offense. So that's where St. Peter's opportunity is. The problem is, man, St. Peter's can't score. I know they won their tournament, but it was all on defense. They were 31st in the country in road scoring efficiency defense, but on offense, 279.
Oh,
I would not be worried about this game, man. Not worried about this game. I would be worried, though. You start seeing Tennessee bricking threes. That's the weakness of this game. If there is going to be a place where Tennessee falls apart, if they can't shoot the three well, St. Peter's guards it really good. That's the only way I see them keeping it close.
All right, Dave Bartoo from the Matrix here on the Rip City Drive. We're going through the tournament and talking about these games. All right, on TBS, here's one of the 12-5 matchups, 425 in the Midwest region. McNeese taking on Gonzaga, and right now the Bulldogs favored by 6.5.
Dude, that bracket is wicked, right? Because, see, we just talked, because the winner of Kansas Samford plays the winner of Gonzaga McNeese State. Do you know who has the number one road scoring efficiency defense in college basketball this year?
Who is that?
McNeese State.
Oh, McNeese
State. You know who has the number 17 offense? McNeese State. This team is wicked good. Talented? No. But if McNeese State's numbers were on any power team, if Purdue had McNeese State numbers, if Auburn had McNeese State numbers, we'd all be betting them to win the national title. And Gonzaga, you know something? They've been really good on the road. They're 16th in offense, 32nd in defensive scoring efficiency. But we all know this is probably one of the weaker teams for Gonzaga in the last few years, so maybe there's some opportunity there. The model, McNeese State 72, Gonzaga 71.
All right.
Upset alert. What's our spread on that baby?
Right now the spread is Gonzaga minus 6.5.
I'll take the points.
Take the points.
I'll take the points. Though here's where McNeese State is. It's going to be the 3-point line, man. This is going to be the defining part of the game because McNeese State is 7th in the country in 3-point shooting scoring efficiency. Gonzaga is 131st in defending it. Gonzaga is 127th in 3-point offensive efficiency. McNeese State 25th in defending it. When I'm turning this game on, all you got to do is watch that 3-point line. That's where McNeese State can win this game, is right there if they're efficient on both sides of the ball.
All right, this is great. Dave Bartoo is giving us his model, his breakdown on the tournament. Dave, stay there. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and we'll continue to work through the games. I'm loving it, brother.
Take it easy. I'll be right here, man.
All right, you got it. More of Dave Bartoo as we break down the first 2 days of action in the NCAA tournament here on the Rip City Drive.
Gobble, 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 gobble.
All right, the first four is officially underway with Howard and Wagner on True TV. So far, Dave Bartu likes Mississippi State plus 1.5 against Michigan State, Duquesne plus 9.5 against BYU, Drake plus 1.5 against Washington State, Sanford plus 8.5 against Kansas, NC State plus 5.5 against Texas Tech, Tennessee minus 21.5 against St. Peter's, and McNeese, one of the best teams you don't know about in the tournament, plus 6.5 against Gonzaga. So let's keep working through these games up, Bartu. This is awesome. I'm loving this. Another game on the schedule on TNT Thursday at 10:30. It's a 14-3 matchup with Akron and Creighton, a team that a lot of people like. And right now, Creighton minus 12.5, this game in the Midwest region. What do you think?
Oh, dude, I was just right before I got on the show, I was just trying to model everything out. And on the break, I was doing the bottom of the Midwest bracket with South Carolina, Oregon, Creighton, Akron, etc. Dude, this is a tight ball game. I know Creighton is probably a huge favorite in this one. I got a total of 143 in this game. Creighton road scoring efficiency defense, number 3 in the country.
Whoa.
They're wicked good defensively on the road. But Akron is 53rd. Do you have the total on that one right now?
141.5.
See, I'm at 143, but we got the number 3 defense going up against the 121 offense. We got the number 53 defensive Akron going up the 109 offense of Creighton. Not huge gaps. And even though I'm modeled at 143, I just feel that that's kind of a under profile for the game. These are two really, really good defenses. Creighton is much better from 3. And Akron is much better inside the 3-point line. So it's Creighton's 3-point shooting going up against Akron inside. The free throws I have at even. I got an 11-11 game. So the model spits out, dude, listen to these numbers, 71.57 to 71.51.
Wow.
I mean, this is an absolute coin flip. Now, the .57 is Creighton. So I get to say I'm taking Creighton money line, and I'll lean under. But this is both of these. What's interesting is both of these teams on paper, even though they don't recruit like Oregon and South Carolina, who the winner plays next, right? It's Creighton Akron going up against the winner of South Carolina Oregon. These two teams we're talking about here. They are more efficient in offense and defense than both of those teams. Whoever wins this matchup, Akron and Creighton, that's Sweet 16. I think this team is going to beat Oregon when Oregon beats South Carolina.
All right, let's talk about that game. Oregon got in with their Pac-12 tournament victory. They took out Arizona. It's 1 o'clock TNT Thursday, 11-6 matchup. Right now, South Carolina favored by 1.5. What's your take?
This is an incredibly close game across the board. It's offensive, so I lean offense. Road defensive scoring efficiency this year, Oregon 215, South Carolina 211. I mean, there's just mirror images of each other. Offensively, South Carolina, offensive scoring efficiency 87th, Oregon 94th. Right? Now we got some really big gaps here, 87 and 94 going up against 211 and 215. So on the total, I say you're over or you don't bet, okay? And I'm guessing the total right now sitting about 141.5, 142.
They got it at 133.5.
Whoa! I see. I'm at 145.2. These are two really good offense. So I lean over on that. I'll take the points. If Oregon's catching 1.5, I will take that. But everything is really balanced in this ball game when I start looking at the defensive side of the ball. Free throws are really even. Efficiency on offense and defense inside of 3. I think it'll come down to, I don't think it'll be free throws. I don't think it'll be the inside game. I think it's going to be the shooting. It's going to be the best 3-point shooter is going to win this game, because both of these offenses are slightly better than both of the 3-point defenses they're facing. So to me, the best 3-point shooter is actually going to come out on top in this one. But I like over in that. I think it's going to be higher scoring than 133.
All right, over in the Oregon-South Carolina game. Arizona's the number 2 seed in the West region. They're going to play at 11 o'clock on TBS, taking on the 15 seed Long Beach State. Arizona favored by a whopping 20.5. What do you think?
Dude, that is such a weak bracket down there, man. Well, look, you got Clemson with the 220th road defense. You got Baylor with the 250th road defense. You got Nevada with the 193rd road defense. Colgate 157th in offensive scoring efficiency. Long Beach State 103rd. I mean, there's no teams outside of Arizona that really pop except New Mexico, baby. I don't know if you've been following me on Twitter, but man, we have been betting New Mexico to win and cover in that tournament all the way through. That was my number one team in the Mountain West from day one. So I think, how about this? Arizona, which is 33 on offense, 93rd on defense. They're the best profile in this bottom half of the bracket. I'm going Arizona meeting up with, do we go New Mexico or Baylor, man? I'm going to stick with New Mexico. That's what the model says. We're going to go New Mexico, Arizona, even though Baylor's offense is really good. I think the most fun game is going to be Baylor, New Mexico. But Arizona, I think this is set up for them to just cruise right through this bracket to get beat by North Carolina in the bracket finals.
That's awesome. Another one of those close 10-7 matchups. Nevada is taking on Dayton. Right now, Nevada, who a lot of people like, -1.5. The total set at 136.5.
Shoot, and the model is 71.22 to 71.27. I mean, these are two really good teams. Dayton, defensively and offensively, is very, very balanced. Nevada is very offensive heavy, number 7 in the country in road scoring efficiency. Defensively, they're 193rd. So to me, this is a coin flip here. And when it comes down to shooting free throws, I think where it's really going to hurt Dayton is Dayton on the defensive side allows a lot of free throws, man. They allow a lot of free throws. And so I think in a tight ball game, I think it favors Nevada. I have the tiniest of Nevada money line leans to win that game against Dayton. But that is a 50-50 one right there.
Wow, that's awesome. Another matchup, Oakland, the 14 seed, taking on Kentucky, the 3 seed in the South region. Right now, the Cats are 13.5-point favorites. Total set at 163.5.
Yeah, you know how I said I don't like big spreads. I don't know how this is gonna, those things turn out, and I don't like talent mismatches like this. But I do like Kentucky. I don't like Kentucky to go a long ways because their numbers aren't great. 40th on offense, 146th in road scoring efficiency defense. Oakland pretty much matches them up for that, but I mean, Oakland is in a vastly different conference than Kentucky. If it's in a bracket, just pick Kentucky to move on and not worry about it. But I do have this as a higher scoring game. I'm at 154. So I'll be curious to know what that line is right now. It might be in the 140s where there's a good edge in getting an over in that one.
Let's see here. So we've got right now the total 163.5. Oakland and Kentucky.
Oh Jesus, Lord Jesus! I'm at 154, and I thought that was high. 163 is putting it up. Okay, we're off everything on this. There's nothing here. We're not betting anything on this. We're just going to fill out our bracket and just click Kentucky and have them move on. No bets, baby.
All right, another team that you mentioned in the East region that makes it so tough is Iowa State. They're the 2 seed taking on South Dakota State. Right now, the Cyclones favored by 16.5. Another big spread you don't like. The total at 135.5.
Yeah, don't like the big spread there. And then Iowa State, though, 8th in road scoring efficiency defense. So I expect them to fully shut down South Dakota State. And they're humming right now. I mean, they shut everybody down in the Big Ten tournament. Don't like the spread. My total, I'm sitting at 140, which is probably higher than, I bet you it's in the 120s on the total right now in that one, just because how strong Iowa State is. But Iowa State, I like the bracket they're in. It's going to be a great, if they get there, Iowa State number 8 defensively, Illinois number 2 offensively. I think that is going to be an absolutely tremendous matchup if they get to the head-to-head, which I expect them to do.
All right, perfect. All right, Dave Bartua is with us. All right, question for you. It's time for another break. Do you have time to join me for one more segment to talk Friday action, or do you need to go? I
No,
will
I don't
understand.
need to go anywhere. If your listeners still want to keep hearing me drone on, I'm fine with it.
All
I
right.
can do this all day.
Let's do it, man. Well, let's do one more. We'll talk about Friday's action in the tournament. Dave Bartu is with us. We are getting you prepped. Dave is preparing you to know where to go when it comes to the tournament action so you can make some profit. We'll talk Friday's action coming up next. All right, 4 o'clock. Anthony Simons missed a three at the buzzer. Blazers fall in Chicago 110-107. Ayton 25 and 15. Double-double for Ayton in his last 9 games. Blazers back home tomorrow night, 3-game homestand. Clippers are in town for a game Wednesday and Friday. Tip tomorrow at 7, game day at 4:30, live from Motor here on 620 Rip City Radio. Portland 19 and 49, 5th worst record in the NBA. The tournament is now underway with the first 4, Wagner and Howard. And coming up later on today, Colorado State and Virginia. Both games are on True TV. From the NFL, Mike Williams signs a 1-year deal with the Jets. Chase Young gets a $13 million deal for the Saints. Trent Brown inks a 1-year deal with the Bengals. The Browns give Jerry Jeudy a 3-year extension, $41 million guaranteed. We got more of the Rip City Drive coming at you right now. More Dave Bartoo focusing on the tournament. All right, Dave Bartoo's got a special Go Ducks promo code at hempforpros.com where you get 44.4% off. Terrific products. And Dave Bartoo is with us. Dave, how many NFL teams are you working with right now providing your staffing and analytical data?
Oh, personally?
Yes.
Personally, you see now at the Pro Athlete Temp Association on Hemp for Pros, we work with all the alumni.
That's right.
You know, it's crazy because I get to talk. I talk with at least one NFL Hall of Famer a week.
That's
Seriously.
so awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, dude, it is so cool. Now, for NFL franchises, I'm up to 5. Just signed on with the Eagles in the last couple of weeks. So it is, the NFL is a different animal, but just absolutely amazing to work with them because they actually have a group, unlike college football, where the head coach is in charge of everything, juggling a million balls. At the NFL level, is really more of the head coach doesn't do a lot of that, right? There's a lot of assistant GMs and stuff that work with them, a lot of people helping them out. So from an NFL standpoint, man, it is so much easier to work with them. But holy moly, getting them out of the mindset of recycling old coaches is not the easiest thing, brother.
No, it's not. But I'm glad you're there to provide the information. I'm so excited for you, branching from college football, now getting to the NFL. You are blowing up. And I just had someone reach out from the 503 that said Dave Bartoo for the win with the bracket help. And I told him, I said, Dave's one of the smartest people I know, man. So it's great to have you on. Taking a look at some of this Friday action in the tournament. A 5-12 matchup, 7:05 on True TV. Grand Canyon against St. Mary's. And right now, St. Mary's is a 5.5-point favorite with the total set at 131.5. What you got?
Oh, man, Grand Canyon. A lot of people haven't heard that. And you remember how I was talking about New Mexico riding them, winning and covering all the way through the tournament? Here's another team, Grand Canyon. Number 12 in offensive scoring efficiency, number 3 in defensive scoring efficiency. Now, that being said, undersized, a lot smaller, going up against St. Mary's, who, had a really good year, 21st in road scoring efficiency defense. I like the under in this one. Do you have a total on that one, brother?
131.5. 131.5.
Damn. Man, my model's at 139.34. I'd like to be under. Why? Because Grand Canyon is 4th in road defensive scoring efficiency. St. Mary's is 21st. These are 2 really good defensive teams. St. Mary's on the road, 180th in offensive scoring efficiency. So I like the defense here. And how many points am I getting?
5.5.
Dang, man. This is gonna be tough to come by. This is gonna be tough. This is, if you like defense though, this is really sexy though. St. Mary's 15th guarding the 3, 20th inside the 3. Grand Canyon 23rd guarding the 3, 5th inside the 3-point line. This is an absolute defensive pressure cooker. I know my model's over 131, but if I got to do something, I'm going to lean under on this one. As for who wins it, I got Grand Canyon by 0.81.
All right.
I don't know if I trust that, but here's the big kicker in that game. I have Grand Canyon winning the free throw battle by 4.
That can be big in a close game. That's
right?
huge. Yeah.
Right? Because St. Mary's, here's the thing: St. Mary's offensive free throw scoring efficiency, which basically means how many points do they score from the free throw line per possession on offense? They are 350th in the country out of 362. St. Mary's is terrible at getting to the line and getting points from the charity stripe. That will catch up to them, whether it's Grand Canyon or Alabama or any of these teams if they get past Grand Canyon. Close games are not in favor of St. Mary's on the road because they have absolutely not been able to get to the line.
All right. Grand Canyon and St. Mary's. He likes the under and Grand Canyon plus 5.5. The first game out on Friday at 9:15 on CBS. 9-8 matchup, Northwestern and Florida Atlantic. Right now, FAU minus 2.5, and the total set at 141.5.
Man, I got Florida Atlantic really kicking the crap out of them at 3.41. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that is actually a really, really big number. Florida Atlantic dominates them offensively. Northwestern on the offensive side, here's where they're going to get killed. They shoot well from three. They're 39th in scoring efficiency from outside the three-point line. Inside the three-point line, bunnies, layups, points in the paint, where you win close games, they're 309th. They have no game inside whatsoever. So, man, they better shoot hot from three, but I like Florida Atlantic winning and covering in that game.
I love it. All right, UAB, San Diego State, a 12-5 matchup at 10:45 in the morning on TNT Friday. Right now, San Diego State, who went to the Final Four last year, minus 6.5, total at 138.5. What do you think?
I'll take the points, man. I'll take the points. I'm at 148. These are two really solid offenses. UAB is 26th in the country road offense. San Diego State is 81st. But with that 81st, they're going up against the 168th defense of UAB. So I like the over in this one, but I'll take the points here because I just don't see San Diego State really having the numbers to really separate themselves against UAB in this ballgame, especially on offense. San Diego State from three, San Diego State inside the three-point line. They're great from the free throw line, but overall, they're just not as effective as that number is that I'm seeing it right there. So I have San Diego State winning the game. But if you're saying, Dave, you got to take something here, I'll take the over, and I'll take UAB covering. But in my bracket, I've already clicked San Diego State to advance against Auburn and get their ass kicked.
All right. Here's another one of those tough matchups. 11-6 matchup out of the West region. New Mexico and Clemson, 12-10 on True TV Friday. And right now, New Mexico, a team you're hot on, minus 1.5.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to just stick with it. We're going to ride that horse, baby, right? I mean, why not? Clemson, 220th in road scoring efficiency defense. They're just not that good. Now, from a recruiting standpoint, you and I both know Clemson dominates New Mexico.
Yes.
But unlike college football, man, basketball has a way of evening itself out. Coaching is more important. Scheme is more important. Cohesiveness of your five is more important out there on the floor. I already said New Mexico all the way. They're gonna win this ball game. I took New Mexico in my bracket already. I think it's going to be a more offensive than defensive game, but I'm going with New Mexico in the upset over Clemson on that game.
All right, here's a game. You mentioned Alabama. They're the 4 seed in the West region, taking on the 13 seed Charleston. Alabama right now favored by 9.5, but I think you already mentioned their defense, not good. Offense, great. Total in this game set at 173.5. What do you think?
Alabama's offense and defense is like the devil, man. You either walk beside it or walk in front of it. And honestly, nobody wants to be in the devil's path. So I would stay away from everything Alabama. You don't know what you're going to get. And the problem with Alabama on trying to figure out the total is they're either going to score 100 or they're going to give up 100. But 170s, I mean, dude, in college basketball, that is a lot. You're talking 88, 87 kind of ball games, right? High 80s. They're playing the College of Charleston. They should absolutely destroy them. But this Alabama is like the least trustworthy good team on the board. So I do expect them to win. I'm actually hoping Alabama gets to play. I'm hoping Grand Canyon beats St. Mary's. because I just think Alabama is just super vulnerable. But I just think they have a very, very easy side of the bracket until they hit North Carolina and get beat.
All right, I've got one more game for you and one question. Let's go with another 12-5 matchup. 6:40 Friday CBS. James Madison, the 12, taking on Wisconsin, the 5. Right now, the Badgers favored by 5.5. Total set at 145.5.
Dude, how do you pick this game, man? I mean, seriously, it's totally confusing because, Wisconsin they played their hearts out in the Big Ten tournament. They almost won the bloody thing. But James Madison is so under the radar, 20th on offense, 38th in scoring efficiency defense. My question is, can Wisconsin keep that magic up? I mean, obviously, you know, emotionally, you go, man, Wisconsin's going to win that because, I mean, they were warriors in the Big Ten tournament, but James Madison is one of the most balanced college basketball teams in the bracket right now. Talent-wise, they're behind Wisconsin, but James Madison, they do two things really good. They shoot three. They are fifth at defending the three. You know who is 353rd in defending the three? Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
Brutal.
So we got the 24th best scoring efficiency team from three going up against 353. And then James Madison turns around and puts the number 5 defense. Wisconsin's got to win this inside. They're not winning it from the three-point line. I'm sticking with the model, though, baby. Upset alert. James Madison, the Dukes.
I love it. James Madison plus 5.5 against Wisconsin. All right, here's a question for you. Who do you have in your Final Four on your bracket?
This first one that I just did, literally in the last hour while I was just going through game by game, Auburn, I've been talking them up. I think the Auburn is going to come out of that side. North Carolina, I think the toughest game they're going to have is against Arizona. And then out of the Midwest, I have Purdue. I think that's a pretty easy bracket. It's set up really, really well for them. I got Purdue playing Creighton. And then in the South, I got Duke over Kentucky in the Elite Eight. So Duke, Purdue, Auburn, North Carolina, and I have Auburn. I'll call my ball right now, baby. I have Auburn over Duke. So I got Auburn and Duke. I got Auburn 76, Duke 73. From the 4 seed and the SEC, Auburn wins the game.
Oh my gosh, I love it, man. Bartu, all over it.
You got 30 seconds for the Goldberg Jones best NBA total bets of the night.
Yes, I do. What are the Goldberg Jones best NBA bets of the night?
All right, Houston, Washington, 227.5. I am under on that. Charlotte and Orlando is at 203. I have it modeled at 207 and 210. I am over 203. Last but not least, the Pelicans and Brooklyn. The line's 215. It's really tight. One model's at 216, one's at 222. I am over 215. Those are your 1, 2, 3 trifecta Goldberg Jones NBA totals for today, March 19th.
Gosh, you're freaking awesome. All right, make sure you check it out. Go to hempforpros.com and get yourself some great products and support retired NFL players at the same time. And right now, you can get your 44.4% coupon with Go Ducks at hempforpros.com. And check out Dave, patreon.com/CFB Matrix. Dave Bartu. Bartu, all I can do is say thank you for the bonus time. That was freaking awesome.
Love you, brother. You can have me on anytime. I appreciate y'all.
Love you, man. Appreciate it. There's Dave Bartu here on the Rip City Drive. When we come back, Colin Amos, Goldberg Jones is going to join us in studio and answer your questions, and we'll get his take on that wicked story from New York, the 50-year anniversary of the family and wife swapping. You got to appreciate Shacker playing Love Bites as we welcome in Colin Amos from the law offices of Goldberg and Jones. And how about that? Dave Bartu laying out a number of picks for the tournament. I would imagine you're getting ready to get your gamble on with March Madness kicking off.
I have a self-imposed rehab since the Super Bowl, but the problem is
self-sanctioned.
Self-sanctioned. That's right. I went cold turkey, and I stayed away, and I stayed away, and I stayed away. Then I'm driving here, and I've intentionally not been following anything that's gone on to give myself a break. And then I'm listening to Dave, and man, that guy has it dialed. He's got it down. And then my juices started flowing, and now I'm going to have to go back and really dig into this stuff.
You got to get into it.
You got to get into it.
It's too much. March Madness is too awesome. And for those who like to get down, it's like the ultimate gambling event. I saw a number. They expect like $3 billion to be bet on the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the handle is crazy. More than that, because you got all the legal, and then you got the offshore. They got William Hill and Europe, and everything is going on.
Some people have their guy.
Their guy. Whomever that is, they got their guy. They got their guy. And so I just outside of Vegas with all the books and stuff, I can't imagine what the real handle is on all of this. It's got to be crazy.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Love this time of year. The sunshine, fabulous. We need more of this in our lives.
That's right. That's right. It's springtime. It's, divorce season.
We were just talking about that too. Like, I can only imagine, like, in your job, and not just you, but any attorney that works in divorce, the stuff that you probably hear from all sides, even more than what you need to know to get your case done. It's probably unbelievable.
Yeah, because just out there, I mean, the people you run into, you meet them at parties or you talk to them, they're not going to disclose the crazy because nobody really wants to talk about how their life is in shambles. You're looking at Instagram and you're looking at all these pictures people post. It's not them going through miserable situations. It's usually this post of them in paradise, but underneath the surface, not so much. And so you run into these people. And so I get to hear they have, they disclose what's really going on because it's critical for me to help them get through the process. So all of a sudden life is not rosy and it is, it's traumatic. And so it's very interesting to hear the inside.
All right, you got to hear this story. Dwight brought it up a couple of weeks ago because it was the 50-year anniversary. I didn't know about the story until he told me. I was like, that can't be true. And sure enough, I looked it up, and there was a big story, a big spread in the New York Post talking about this. But I want to share it with you because listeners were like, hey, you've got to get Colin's take on this. So this is a part of the story from the New York Post. And this goes back to a pair of Yankee teammates who ended up swapping families. And it says, that night, Fritz and Marilyn Peterson and Mike and Suzanne Kekich joined Ron Swoboda and his wife Cecilia and a few others for a small dinner party at Dobbs Ferry home of longtime Post baseball writer Maury Allen. It was, by all accounts, a fun night, which broke up around 2 a.m. By 3, Maury and his wife Janet had cleaned up and were headed for bed when Maury looked out the window and noticed the Petersons and the Kekiches were still there talking in front of their cars. Quote, we remarked about it and then went to bed. Allen later wrote in his Yankee-themed book, All Roads Lead to October. There are baseball players, remember, different from you and me. The rest, as you say, would have broken the internet if the internet had been invented back in '73. All thanks to a party thrown by a postie. And then basically what happened is, they ended up deciding that they liked each other's wives, and the wives liked each other's husbands, and they decided to swap out families.
You got swingers out there. I mean, that's part. You got thruples now. It's very popular. It's this amorous lifestyle that people are living, and I don't want to be tied down. We need to date other people. It's happening out there. This kind of takes it to another level, which is you're swapping out families. If you have kids and you're doing that, I mean, you might as well get a therapy sessions going right now. That's just crazy. I can't imagine. It's not functional. It can't work.
Yeah, you would think that would be very difficult. So when you have these unique situations, I mean, are you able to deal with those?
Oh, yeah. From my standpoint, it's very simple. I tell people that are telling me all these things, I'm like, I listen because it's quite fascinating, what humans do and the kind of decisions they make. And so I'll listen. But ultimately, especially in states like Oregon and Washington, California, most states these days are no-fault states. All of that really doesn't have any bearing on what the court would do in the court case. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm the piece of the puzzle that says if you guys are not going to remain married because you're now dating each other's wives, let's talk about how the divorce works and let's talk about custody and visitation, which would be the interesting part in this one if they're switching families, because now you got these kids going back and forth, which is, again, that's got to be traumatic for the kids. But from the divorce standpoint, it's just another divorce that we get into the property and debt and spousal support and all of those other things. But that one's taking it to another level.
Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable. Colin Amos, law officer of Goldberg and Jones, is in studio. The telephone number, 1-800-DIVORCE. If you are facing a divorce or have a custody issue, you can call 1-800-DIVORCE. Colin will answer all of your questions. Also, they specialize in prenuptial agreements. And if you're going to get married, as we've talked about, and we've tried to emphasize this, you handle that. Prenuptial agreements are the way to go.
It's so important to do that and cut your attorney off at the knees.
Yeah.
In the future, your future attorney.
Yes.
Because if somebody comes in with a well done prenuptial where there was representation on both sides, because that's helpful to have both sides represented, so that the other party can't say, "Well, I didn't understand what I was doing, and this was, I really didn't have an understanding that your property was what it was, or this meant this." But if you have both parties represented, then it's not a problem. It's enforceable.
Yes.
And it takes the court many times out of the way because this is what we agreed to.
Yeah.
And it's clear.
And the courts want to honor that document, right?
They want it, yeah, because it's a contract.
Yeah.
It might not have even been fair at the time or fair later, but it's a contract, and that will cut down your litigation, your conflict in your divorce so significantly.
All right, let's get to your questions that have come in for you, Colin. It says, Colin, my wife and I are going to get divorced. I am going to move out of the house and live elsewhere until the divorce is finalized. Do you have any advice or do's and don'ts for me as I move out and allow her to have the house? Just want to make sure I'm covering myself.
Yeah, this is one on our website. The kind of standard rule of thumb is don't move out. Don't move out until we've at least had a chance to sit down and talk about the consequences. Because once you move out, you can't just walk back in, and a lot of other conflict starts and restraining orders. Hey, you were supposed to move out. You're coming in. You're invading my space. I'm threatened by you. So you got to be careful when you move out. It can start to set that precedent for custody and visitation, especially with kids. Because if you move out, whatever time and arrangement you have with your kids, you better make sure that whatever you've done for 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, that precedent you're setting is something you can live with if the court makes it permanent. Most times it's not. Most times a guy's living on a buddy's couch, or he's living in a place that the kids really don't want to go because it's not so comfortable, and they're setting a negative precedent for parenting time. So that's a big issue that I really work people through. I'm not telling them you can't move out.
Yeah.
I just want them to know the consequences if you move out. And then there's the other kind of main area of support. If you move out, well, the bills still need to get paid. And you might be eating canned beans, living on a buddy's couch, saving money, but the bills over here still need to get paid, and you're still paying those many times. And what happens is you're setting kind of this negative precedent for possible spousal support because you're saying, I need to support this household at this level, which may not be sustainable. So you really have to be careful when you move out. So I would say, especially if you're going to move out, sit down with either us or somebody else, get a plan. You probably don't need to hire an attorney because you're probably working on it. Just know the consequences before you do it.
All right, simple answer. Don't move out. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. Let Colin and his team take a look at your plan, and then you can move on from there. All right, next question, Colin. How does the court look at inheritance when it comes to a divorce? My mom and dad have recently passed away, and they left me their home and some property along with some cash.
Certainly in Washington and Oregon, inheritance is presumptively separate property, which is great because essentially the idea of a marriage is as a partnership, whether it's equal or not in the financial creation of assets and debts and things, it should be divided equitably, which generally is equally. It doesn't have to be, but generally equally. Well, the marriage didn't create the death benefit here, hopefully not at least. And so inheritance is separate property. The problem is people receive this money and they commingle it. They put it in an account with the other party's name. They pay down some of the mortgage on the house, or they put it into an account that's only in their name, but then their paycheck goes into that account. Other funds go into that account, and that commingles the money, and it could open it up for division later. So you got to be real careful to keep it separate when you have inheritance, but otherwise it's separate property.
So really, just a separate account in your name to keep it away from the commingling of
That's right.
the marital assets.
And don't add any funds because people get paychecks or investments and they put it in that because it's only in their name. Well, that's commingling the funds. So you got to be real careful. Keep it really sterile, away from everything else.
All right, Colin. The number. What's the number one thing you should look for in a divorce lawyer? I listen to you on Dwight and Chad's show, and I think you're cool, but I'm trying to counsel my buddy. So it sounds to me like he's got a friend that is going to go through divorce, but thinks he can handle it on his own.
He doesn't just want a cool attorney; he wants a competent attorney. That's right. Hey, I get it.
You just have
I'm
to
not
be both.
offended.
Colin is cool and competent.
That's right.
But you definitely want both.
Yes,
Competent, most importantly.
30 years helps me get there. 30 years of practice.
Even if Colin was uncool, I know he can take care of you. So that's the
right.
key.
That's right. So obviously critical to have experience. In bigger markets, you can make sure that your attorney is focused in the area of you need, whether it's personal injury, whether it's bankruptcy, whether it's divorce and custody. So if they do a lot of things, well, I do criminal offense and I do a little PI, then they're starting to spread themselves thin. You can demand that your attorney has focus in the area you need. So that's one. Experience. Ask them how many years you've been practicing family law, how many years you've been practicing family law in the county, in the state that you reside.
Yeah.
A lot of times, trust yourself to have a consultation, maybe a couple different consultations. I meet with people, and they know, they just know that I know what I'm talking about. I'm not giving them any crap, and they can figure that out. Trust yourself to have the radar to know that, okay, this person's being straight with me and honest, because I can tell you divorce and custody, it really makes sense. When I talk with people, it's not rocket science. It's something that intuitively makes sense. And so if you sit down with somebody and it's just getting way out there and you're like, this doesn't seem right, or it doesn't seem like this could happen, you're probably right. So make sure they have experience, have a couple consultations if you need to, and make sure you feel comfortable. Because I could be an incredible attorney, but if we're not on the same page, our personalities aren't working, that's not a good relationship either.
How long has Goldberg Jones been in the business of family law?
Saving lives.
Yes.
Saving lives for over 25 years in the
a long
Portland
time.
Area. A long time.
All right. Colin Amos is in studio. Law offices of Goldberg and Jones. Telephone number 1-800-DIVORCE. When you call, Colin will either answer your call at that time, but he returns everyone's call and answers your questions. Next question, Colin, does getting a divorce hurt your credit?
Certainly can. It certainly can. That's the biggest thing. When you get a divorce, you have these joint accounts, or your name is on the mortgage, or you have a joint credit card, and you need to have provisions in your final divorce judgment that says who's responsible for that. And then we always put in what we call a hold harmless provision that says if you're taking on that responsibility, you need to hold the other party harmless from any liability in the future if they don't make the payment. The problem is if you don't require a refinance on the house, this is a big mistake a lot of people make in a divorce. They say she's responsible for the house and she gets the equity and she gets the mortgage and she'll hold me harmless. Well, if she misses payments, you're still on that mortgage and your credit goes up in flames. If you have a credit card and that person is supposed to pay it and they don't pay it, you go up in flames with them. So you need refinance provisions because just getting a divorce that says she's responsible will not protect you from the creditors. They don't care that you got a divorce.
The next question, Colin, I live in the state of Washington. Is there any advantage to filing for divorce first before my spouse, or is it the same?
In Washington, it does make a bit more of a difference than, say, in Oregon, because in Oregon, when you file a divorce, you can get into court. We many times have what we call temporary orders or temporary relief, whereas you can imagine things are disheveled when you start a divorce. You can't see the kids, and you get out of the house and pay me all this money. So we set up a hearing to get things temporarily figured out. Temporary parenting plan, temporary child support, temporary spousal support, temporary allocation of financial responsibility, who has to stay in the house, who has to move out. In Oregon, you can't really get into court for like at least 45 to 60 days. In Washington, you can get in within a couple weeks. And I can tell you, if you're not proactive, you get served and you say, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to decide where your kids are going to be, if you have to move out, how much spousal support, how much child support you're going to pay. And you don't get 2 weeks before the hearing to respond. You only have like 10 days to find an attorney, to sit down and get all these response documents prepared. So in Washington, it's certainly important to be prepared, have a game plan, even if you're not going to file first. So try to consult with an attorney earlier than later. And if you can, be proactive, file first, and take control of the situation.
All right, I saved this question for last because it's a doozy. It's like it's one of those questions. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine this. It says, Colin, this is embarrassing, but my wife is pregnant, and I'm quite certain that I'm not the father. How do I address this with her, and what should I do?
Yeah, that is a doozy. Not so much of a legal question, but it happens all the time. So obviously, you're going to have to address it with her just straight up because you're going to have a DNA test. And these days, it used to be in the old days, you had to wait till the child was born before you can do DNA testing, paternity testing. Now you can do it prior to that pretty easily. So, hey, we flush this out before the child is born. Let's do a DNA test and determine if paternity is, with this individual. If it is not, when a child is born during the marriage, it is legally determined to be of the marriage, even if it's biologically not yours. So you will have a child that is your child. And so you have to make decisions whether you're going to say, this is my child and I'm going to move on with that, or whether you need to, get a divorce or break up and disestablish yourself from that obligation, because it's a financial obligation also that goes along for 18 to 21 years. You know this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it
you
keeps
know
going.
this too. Yeah.
Yes, I know that too.
I've
Yes.
noticed that with kids, it gets more expensive as they get older too.
Absolutely. You'd think that, daycare is over. It's going to be cheap from here on out. No, it gets worse.
My daughter just got back from a Washington, D.C. trip with her school, and it was like, well, what are we going to do on spring break? I'm like, what?
We're going camping.
Yeah.
That's where we're going,
Yeah.
camping.
Oh,
That's
my
right.
goodness. That's a tough one. All right. It's very simple. Here's what you do. If you're facing a divorce, if you need help with a custody issue, if you are looking for a prenuptial agreement, 1-800-DIVORCE is the telephone number. You can check them out online at goldbergjones-or.com. Here's another question I had about the prenuptial agreement. I just saw in the news a couple of days ago that Tyreek Hill, wide receiver for the Dolphins, had a dispute with his wife because he was trying to get her to sign a post-nuptial agreement.
Right.
I could see how that might cause a fight, but
Yep.
do those work just like a prenuptial?
It's not as effective because you're already married. Usually the consideration in a prenuptial is you sign this and I will marry you. So there's the consideration.
Yes.
When you're married and it says, hey, I want to renegotiate this and just sign this document that gives away certain aspects. It's frowned upon by the courts.
Yes.
It's deemed to be a little bit coercive. I will stay married to you unless you sign this.
Yeah.
But it can be enforceable. This is definitely where you'd want both sides to have representation, both sides to step into this with everything on the table so that if there is a renegotiation of what their relationship should be, she can't come back later, or he couldn't come back later and says, oh, no, I didn't understand. And then if it doesn't work out, then he's going to have to make the decision, well, maybe we'll have to get divorced if you don't move on in this different direction. So it's a tougher situation for a postnuptial.
Wow. So get it done before you get married.
Yes.
All right. 1-800-DIVORCE. Check them out online at goldbergjones-or.com. Colin Amos, who joins us every month to answer your questions. I'm sorry that you're off the wagon now.
I'm not. Dave did it to me. I'm getting back
Bar
in the
two.
game.
All right. So nice work. Enjoy the tournament, my friend, and we'll catch up next month.
All right. Sounds good.
Colin Amos, law office of Goldberg and Jones here on the Rip City Drive. Brian O coming up at 5:20, and we're going to give away a pair of Trailblazer tickets coming up next. All right, Shacker hitting the journey. I was down in Vegas this past weekend for a couple of days visiting my buddy Steve, and we went to the Toto Journey concert, which was at Mandalay Bay in the Michelob Ultra Arena, and it was a terrific concert. Journey hit 20 songs. This song here, Be Good to Yourself, was next to last. They finished out the show with Any Way You Want It. And I got to say this, Arnel Pineda, he's not Steve Perry, but terrific vocal range. And he's 56 years old, and he's got more energy on stage as a front man than just about anyone I've ever seen. Great show, great night. And Neil Sean is a badass. And I believe Jonathan Cain, the keyboard and piano player for Journey, his daughter married Steve Lukather, the head man for Toto, married his son. So Lukather and Cain's kids married, and so that's part of the reason why they started this tour together. So they're family now. But a good show and a few hours of music. It was very nice. 12,000 people. It was sold out. 12,000 people fit in that Michelob Ultra Arena. All right, Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. Big thanks to the Trailblazers for supplying us with the opportunity for you to see the Trailblazers in action. Every Tuesday throughout the entire season, we have tickets to give away for your Portland Trailblazers. First pair is going to be for the Clipper game on Friday night. This Friday, the 22nd, which is also Women's History Month celebration, which will be at Moda Center. Clippers and Blazers. Get a chance to see Kawhi and Paul George taking on Scoot, Ant, and the rest of your Trailblazers. DeAndre Ayton's on fire right now. So we have a pair of tickets to give away for the Clipper game. We will take the sixth caller right now, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Call now. Caller 6 gets a pair of tickets for the Blazers and Clippers at Moda Center on Friday. 503-248-0620. Caller 6. Call now. It is your show. You take it over. Show me your tickets. 503-248-0620. Caller 6 gets a pair of tickets for the Trailblazers and Clippers. We're going to play Name That Tune coming up at 5. And we have 2 more pairs of tickets to give away, so we're going to give away a pair coming up at 5. We'll play Name That Tune. Both of those pairs will be for the Nuggets game this Saturday at Moda Center, tip-off at 7 o'clock. So if you don't win now, don't worry. You'll have a chance coming up at 5, and then we'll give away another pair before the end of the show. 503-248-0620. And for all of your Trailblazer ticket needs, you can always head to trailblazers.com. Oh, last night, Utah hosting Atlanta in the NBA. Hawks and Timberwolves. Did you see this?
Another turnover for Utah. Edwards gets it back and threw it down and won from the Raptors.
I said Atlanta. I meant to say Utah, Minnesota. That dunk by Anthony Edwards was amazing. He skied up and basically teabagged John Collins and destroyed him.
Another turnover for Utah. Edwards gets it back and threw it down and won from the Raptors.
Anthony Edwards is one of the most exciting guys in basketball to watch right now because of his elite athleticism, and the rest of his game is coming together as well. And Minnesota's been one of the best teams in the NBA all year, but Edwards is a freak. But what I didn't see until I saw the camera angle that was up close on the replay, it was a great play, and I don't want to take anything away from it, but he didn't really dunk it. He got up so high, and when he hit Collins, he was still quite a ways away from the rim. So when he extended his hand, he threw the ball through the hoop. It wasn't really a dunk where he cranks the rim down, and he immediately started holding his hand, so I think he must have smashed his fingers on the rim. So I don't know if you can classify that as a dunk or not, but still, he killed John Collins. And it made an instant great poster.
Another turnover for Utah. Edwards gets it back and threw it down and won from the Raptors.
He's a good one. For me, I would say the best in-game dunkers I grew up with as a youngster, Dominique Wilkins, and then, of course, Michael Jordan. The human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins, was terrific in-game because he had some thunderous jams. And then after that, of course, MJ was terrific. Vince Carter, sensational. And now you look at Anthony Edwards, just the freaky athleticism. Kobe was a terrific in-game dunker. But I like guys that are willing to risk physical harm to attack the rim like that. It's great. And the other thing I don't understand is these people that have an issue with celebrating great moments in the regular season. Maybe it's just because they were Nugget fans. That shot that Kyrie Irving hit to beat Denver down in Dallas a couple of days ago, it was a Magic Johnson-style left-handed rolling hook at the buzzer. And he had Jokic right on his hip, so he couldn't shoot it with the right hand. It could only be the left hand. And the skill level that it took for him to pull that off and to perform a left-handed rolling hook on the move and to put it right through the hoop, it was amazing. A great shot. And I saw some people frustrated with the Mavericks' reaction, and I thought, they're not over celebrating a regular season win. They were celebrating the ridiculous nature of the shot. So I think sometimes you got to back up and say, okay, it's okay to celebrate a big moment, a great shot, and something we haven't seen too much. Like even NBA players were chiming in on the Kyrie shot. Like, dude, that's amazing. I think Dame's tweet was, Kyrie is skilled as bleep. He couldn't believe it. So when you see other terrific NBA players, really skilled players, celebrating a shot of another great, I think you can take note that's pretty special. We all know Denver's the best team, and they're going to win another championship more than likely. But there's nothing wrong with Dallas taking a moment to celebrate a ridiculous shot. That was awesome. And so I went back and started thinking about some of the great game winners I've seen. The Magic Johnson hook shot from the foul line in the 87 finals in Game 4 to give the Lakers a 3-1 series lead after Larry Bird had hit a three to give Boston a lead. That hook shot was iconic. That's one of the best I've seen. The Michael Jordan shot on Craig Elo in the first round of the playoffs against Cleveland, ridiculous. But those are the moments that kind of stand out. All right, Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, talking football at 520. We're going to come back and play Name That Tune for your chance to win a pair of Nuggets Trailblazer tickets for the game on Saturday. We have 2 more pairs to give away before the end of the show. Dwight's on vacation. You've got me, Rip City Drive, right here in your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Name That Tune next for Nuggets Blazers tickets. Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's now 5 o'clock. Trailblazers fall in Chicago last night, 110-107. They storm back in the fourth, but fall short after Simons missed a three at the buzzer. Ayton had his eighth double-double in his last 9 games with 25 and 15. They're back home tomorrow for a 3-game homestand. The Clippers are in town. Tip at 7. Game day starts at 4:30 here on 620 Rip City Radio. Trailblazers at 19-49 have the 5th worst record in the NBA. The tournament is now officially underway with the first 4. Second half on True TV. Wagner on top of Howard, 48-31. Colorado State and Virginia coming up at 6. And right now, CSU favored by 2.5. The rest of the tournament will start on Thursday. From the NFL, Mike Williams signs a 1-year deal with the Jets. Chase Young gets a $13 million deal from the Saints, and the Browns have extended Jerry Jeudy 3 years with $41 million guaranteed. All right, we're going to play Name That Tune here in just a moment. We have 2 more pairs of tickets to give away for the Blazers and Nuggets. Was that Men at Work right there, Michael Shacker? That sounded like Men at Work.
Johnny Be Good.
I like Men at Work. Colin Hay, I saw him. He was in the concert last year. I saw the Ringo All-Star Band. Colin Hay's part of that, so I had a chance to see him perform a few of the Men at Work songs solo in that concert.
But that's not Name That Tune. Don't call up and say Men at Work. You're
That's
not going
right.
to get tickets.
That's right. Shacker's right. It's not Name That Tune. Dave Bartu joined us and gave away some winners. I'll list off a few of those for you. Brian Knows coming up at 5:20 to talk NFL. I want to get his take on the NFL draft with the quarterbacks. Right now, 4 quarterbacks expected to go in the top 6, which is wild. J.J. McCarthy's on a meteoric rise right now. For the tournament that's going to get underway on Thursday, Dave Bartu likes Mississippi State plus 1.5 against Michigan State. That's the first game to kick off on Thursday. Duquesne plus 9.5 against BYU. Drake plus 1.5 against Washington State. Samford plus 8.5 against Kansas. NC State plus 5.5 against Texas Tech. Tennessee minus 21.5 against St. Peter's. McNeese, one of the hottest teams in the country, plus 6.5 against Gonzaga. Akron plus 12.5 against Creighton, and the under 141.5. Oregon, South Carolina over, and he likes the Ducks plus 1.5. Nevada minus 1.5 against Dayton, and Kentucky minus 13.5 against Oakland, but didn't really feel hot about that game. Grand Canyon taking on St. Mary's under 131.5, and Grand Canyon plus 5.5. FAU minus 2.5 against Northwestern. UAB plus 6.5 against San Diego State. He loves New Mexico. Very hot in New Mexico. They're taking on Clemson. New Mexico minus 1.5. He likes, let's see here. Stay away from Alabama. Charleston. He likes James Madison plus 5.5 against Wisconsin. And his final 4, Auburn, North Carolina, Purdue, and Duke. And he's got Auburn over Duke in the national title game. So there you go. All right, Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. For all of your Trailblazer ticket needs, simply go to trailblazers.com. My apologies to the YouTube listeners. We cannot play this music over YouTube, so jump to your radio right now, 620 Rip City Radio. We're going to play a tune, a little snippet of a song, and the first person with the correct title of the song and the artist. So I need name of the song and artist. You'll get a pair of tickets for the Trailblazers and Nuggets on Saturday. Telephone number is 503-248-0620. Looking for the name of the song and the artist. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Name and artist of this song. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. First person, correct answer, name and artist of this song. Great song. Terrific song. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. First person with the correct answer, name and artist of the song. Let's go out to Eddie. Eddie, are you ready to play Name That Tune?
I'm so ready.
Okay, I'm going to give you a clip of a song. Take a listen to this, Eddie. All right, Eddie, it's up to you for your chance to see the Nuggets and Trailblazers. What's the name and artist of that song?
Benny Bardonis is the artist, and the song is Into the Night.
Let's check the tape. That is Benny Mardones, Into the Night. And Eddie, you are what we call a winner, my friend. Nice work.
Yes. Hey, Chad, I was the one, remember, I'll keep holding on, Simply Red, and I lost that one.
Oh, that's right. And now you got this right.
So I got redemption.
There's nothing better than redemption, baby, especially when the defending champs are coming to town.
Exactly. I'm so excited. I just went to the Toronto game as well. I'm just ecstatic, Chad. And I just want to give you your flowers, man. You know the way. And Burkhart, man, you guys work so hard. You guys are the hardest working people in Portland. You're like Ryan Seacrest, man. You know, like I come to work at 3:30. You're on the air, at 3 before I even get here. And then you're doing the fifth quarter, plus Rip City Live, man. And I've been listening to you for years. And I'm just, I just love you, man.
Well, dude, I appreciate it. So what you got to do...
You make my day so much easier.
No, I appreciate it, man. Well, what I want you to do, if you get a chance after the game on Saturday, the Nugget game that you're going to go to, call into the fifth quarter and talk about your experience at Moda.
I sure will, Chad. I sure will.
All right, you're my guy. There's Eddie. We'll put you on hold. Shacker will get your information. And what's unique about that song, I'm captivated by the vocals, of course. But it's unique for the fact that it charted a couple of different times, which is pretty wild. But the song, and this is what it says here, it's unusual for being one of only 10 recordings to ever ascend to the top 20 of the Billboard Hot 100 chart twice. The chartings in 1980 and 1989 were of the same recording. Chubby Checker was the first to do this with his cover of The Twist, a single that went number one in September of 1960 and again in 1962. Mardones originally released Into the Night back in June of 1980. The song peaked at number 11 on the Hot 100 for 2 weeks in September of 1980, logging 20 weeks on the chart before falling off in late October. Mardones was unable to duplicate the success of Into the Night, and he's considered a one-hit wonder. Then in 1989, a Where Are They Now Arizona radio segment spurred LA DJ Scott Shannon to add the song to his playlist, ultimately rocketing the song back onto the charts on May 6th of 1989. It peaked this time at number 20 in the first week in July, adding 17 weeks to its previous run of 20 to add up to a total of 37 non-consecutive weeks. There you go. Let's go out to Raider Mike checking in. Raider Mike, welcome back to the Rip City Drive. What's up?
Hey, did that guy say Benny Bardones?
I think he said Benny. It may have sounded like Benny, but Benny, it was close enough to Benny.
It's the Bardones that threw me off. And that song, we've discussed this many times. What a powerful vocalist, man. That guy, I'm jealous of.
It's one of the best vocals I've ever heard laid down to vinyl.
Easily. I'm with you. I bought that single the day it came out in, 81 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I practiced hitting those notes, and I can't get to some of them. That guy was nails, and he snipped it away in Miami. So, well done, Benny.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to sports. I miss you. It's been a while, bro.
I know. It's been a while.
Weird town, man. Vegas is a weird town, man.
You're telling me.
I got put in this hood, Circle K, to manage. I get challenged every night that I'm a racist and there's guns in my face. It's like, I don't know how long this is going to last. It's almost turning into a movie, Chad.
There's always
You know
crazy
my
stuff
love.
going down at a Circle K.
Not the one in the hood, though.
Well, no, I'm saying that every Circle K I've been to, there's always shady characters rolling around outside. Like there's this one that I hit when I go to Arizona, and it's not too far off from a university, close to where the stadium for the Devils is and everything. And it's a great part of town. But for some reason, this Circle K just right off the main path, when you pull into the parking lot, there's shady characters rolling around. It's very
The
spooky.
freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Or as Public Enemy once said, Night of Living Baseheads. Because that's what it really looks like. Bass, how low can you go? Anyway, I don't know what Peyton's doing, dude, with Denver. His ego needs to come in check.
It's a full teardown.
That's all I got.
It's a full teardown. They're tearing everything down to the studs.
He's doing it, and I've never seen anything like it. I hope it works for him, man, because he's got that money behind him. He's got that fan base behind him. It better work, or they will bowl his head down. What's the main boulevard there in Denver? McDaniels went down Vegas Boulevard.
All right.
Where would Peyton's head roll down?
Well, I
Is the
get.
question.
Yeah, I know. We'll wait and see. We got plenty of time. I have more faith in Sean Payton than I do Josh McDaniels. But what is your team doing, the Raiders? So they go out and spend. Oh yeah, a big deal. So that you spend $1 billion on a defensive tackle and you still have no quarterback. What's up with that?
Because we're going to just take Penix, 13, and settle. No.
They're not taking Penix in the first round.
Dude, that's what I think's going to happen, but this might happen. This might happen. New England's going to realize we suck everywhere. I'm going to trade to the Raiders the third pick, which is probably going to be Daniels, who's buddies with AP Pierce, head coach. Coached him at Arizona.
Yeah.
So that's the weird outside thing that might happen in here, 4.5, 5 weeks. But if not, we're just going to take Penix. Everyone's going to say, oh, they overdrafted. We don't care. That's our guy. He's a lefty. He's a second rounder like Kenny the Snake Stabler was, another lefty. Pinpoint passing, has that deep ball. And he's old. He's played so many games. There's no grooming him. You throw him in with Devontae, Michael Meyer, Jacoby, Meyer, game on. Let's roll. Anyway, I miss you, Chad. I need you down here. I need to play some golf with you again.
Oh, gosh. I want to do it so bad. All right, we'll do it.
Bro.
We'll make it happen. I love you, buddy. There's Raider Mike. And that right there is a perfect example of Raider myopia. The Raider fans are idiots. All of them. They're all crazy and they're delusional. And they live in the past. He's talking about taking Michael Penix in the first round because he's a left-hander like Kenny Stabler. No one who is covering the draft has Penix going in the first round. He's more like a third-round pick. But yet you're going to go out and spend $1 billion on a defensive tackle in Christian Wilkins and you have no quarterback. Here's the reality. The Raiders and Broncos in that division with the Chargers, with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert, and the Chiefs with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, until those two teams find a quarterback, you can forget about it. The Raiders are not going to win that division with defense. They've got Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And now Raider fan deep in myopia talking about taking Michael Penix. He's not going in the first round. And the Patriots are not trading out of 3 and allowing the Raiders to jump up to grab their guy. I love Raider Mike, but Raider fans are crazy. Raider myopia is the worst in sports, and it has been for years. That franchise hasn't won a Super Bowl since I was rolling around in underoos, and yet they talk about commitment to greatness. It's a bunch of bull crap. Speaking of football, we're going to talk about that next. Brian No is going to join us next, and we have another tickets for the Nuggets and Trailblazers to give away before the end of the show. Listen to me for your chance to win. All right, our next guest is a good friend. He is also heard across the nation on Fox Sports Radio. His name is Brian O, but I know him as Bino. He's back. What's up, Brian?
What is going on, Chad? Doing, true story. It's so funny this morning. I just talked about you out of the blue to my girlfriend. I don't remember what the topic was. Maybe it was, strikingly devilish handsome men. I don't know what we were talking about. But I said, my guy Chad Doing, and literally 2 seconds later, you texted me about maybe being on the show today. It was crazy. It was crazy timing, man.
I promise I was not snooping or being a peeping Tom and eavesdropping on your conversation. I'm just glad that the timing worked out. And in fact, last week, you and I were reminiscing about that hideous Patriots bet that I lost to you. And we went through all the different punishments that I had to do over the course of 2 weeks leading up to the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl. And I rediscovered the video of me burning my Elway jersey outdoors, and it really sucked.
Man, that is, I'll tell you what, man, that is one for the radio archives right there.
Oh,
and I
so
don't even
good.
know why. Oh, I know what it was. I'll save some of these screenshots in a folder.
Yes.
And my memory on my computer was super low, and I had to shift some stuff around. And I randomly saw the TV printout. Like, it was like a little TV graphic of all the stuff you had to do. It was insane.
I love it. And Eric Ringering, your former producer, my former producer, great guy, he'll randomly send me screenshots of me doing a yoga pose with Ugg boots on in a Patriots jersey in the TV studio. It's ridiculous. But my favorite, though, is if you go back and look at my tweets during that 2-week stretch, I had to use hashtag TB12 for life, which, of course, is really annoying because I'm a Bronco fan, not a Brady fan. And being at a Blazer game and tweeting about Dame and then hashtagging it TB12 for life is just random Blazer tweets with hashtag TB12 for life classic.
That's my favorite part of all these, and I'm looking at it right now. You had to grow the Andy Reid mustache. You had to wear Uggs every day for 2 weeks. It's just so many things. The other one, you had to eat a picture of a crow, right? Like, you didn't actually eat a crow, which would be ridiculous.
Yes.
You ate a picture of
a
crow. But, yeah, the hilarity of C.J. McCollum with 34 points tonight, hashtag TB12 for life. That's beautiful.
And then, dude, the worst was me having to eat a hot dog every day for 2 straight weeks. And I remember at the TV station there where we worked, they had like this little toaster oven in the back room in the kitchen. And I would take the wiener and I would put it in there and heat it up. And I put some ketchup or whatever on it, anything to get it to pass, to go down. And I was just like, and I remember looking at myself in the mirror. I caught a glimpse of me getting ready to take a bite of a hot dog with my weak, very creepy Andy Reid mustache. And I thought, man, my life can't get any lower than this right here. It's a classic right there with Ugg boots on.
It's one of those foods where if you go to a ball game, I don't know if you feel this way, but you're like, oh, man, I could go for a hot dog right now. But day in, day out for 2 straight weeks, I'd get sick and tired of hot dogs.
Yeah, that's like a once in a while type of a food because – and it's one of those things where the law of diminishing return applies. You eat one, you think, I think I need another one of those, and you do it, and you feel like garbage. It's like I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it's too much. It's overkill. But you paid it off. You paid your debt, and that was, I'll tell you what, man, that is one for the archives right there, an all-timer.
The most important lesson was don't say impossible.
That's
Stay away from impossible.
Stay away from the word impossible, yes.
Especially when you're talking about a GOAT like Tom Brady. A lot of great things to talk about, Brian. Multiple insiders now expect 4 quarterbacks to go inside the top 6 in the draft. Williams to go number 1 to Chicago. May and Daniels go 2 and 3 in some order. With the Commanders and Patriots. And now Minnesota, who added another first-rounder from the Texans last week, looking to move up and could switch with the Cardinals at 4 and grab J.J. McCarthy. How do you see the top 10 playing out with all the quarterbacks?
I could see it working out like that. I agree with the top 3. I see, Williams going number 1 to Chicago. I personally think it's going to go Jaden Daniels, then Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan. I just think that with Mariota, the former Duck, being the backup quarterback in Washington, stylistically, his game is a lot more like Jaden Daniels as opposed to Drake May. So to me, that's a little bit of an Easter egg. It doesn't always work out that way. You think about the Colts. They signed Joe Flacco to back up Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
So stylistically, they're very different. But a lot of times you'll see that Tyler Huntley backing up Lamar Jackson, or right, you'll see stylistically similar quarterbacks where you don't have to change your whole system if the backup needs to go in there. So I think it's going to go Jaden Daniels 2. I could see it being Drake May 3. To me, Chad, and this is what's interesting, Arizona's in a great position potentially for a team to trade up needing a quarterback. But I look at Minnesota, who's got Sam Darnold right now, and your Broncos, who don't have a quarterback. So between those two teams, who trades up, if need be, to get the next guy, which seems to be J.J. McCarthy? And what do you do if you get beaten to the punch by the other team? Do you look to Bo Nix in the second round, or I don't know, like later in the first round? If you don't get J.J. McCarthy, whether it's Minnesota or Denver, now it becomes really interesting because who's your guy going into the season? Is Minnesota like, okay, cool, we'll just Baker Mayfield this thing and go with Sam Darnold and hope he has a Baker 2023 type season? Or Sean Payton, who's like, we'll just eat the $85 million. Just get rid of Russ. Anything's better. And if you don't get a quarterback in the first round, then what do you do? That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think Minnesota grabbing that pick from the Texans last week and now having the ammunition to move up, I would be stunned after losing Kirk Cousins if they're not the team. In fact, they've probably already identified their guy, and maybe it is J.J. McCarthy. But I want to ask you about drafting quarterbacks because Denver's in that spot too, right, where you need a quarterback, but you're sitting at 12, and by the time that your opportunity to draft comes, you may not have one of the top line guys. Almost certainly. So, what's your philosophy when it comes to drafting or reaching on quarterbacks? How do you look at that?
It's all case by case because, man, you go back to the Mahomes draft. Mahomes was 10th, and Deshaun Watson was 12th. Mm-hmm. And Mahomes turned out to be unbelievable. And for the first part of his career, Deshaun Watson was really, really good with the Houston Texans. So you can find value at that part of the draft, but not every draft is the same, And if the quarterbacks in this particular draft next month, if they're going high, they're going 1, 2, 3, and then all of a sudden there's a drop-off between the top 3 to J.J. McCarthy, and then you're in a spot like the Broncos where sitting at 12, he's probably going to be gone. Now what do you do, right? So that's where it becomes really tricky is I don't have a problem trading up in the draft just in general. But if you're trading up specifically for J.J. McCarthy, it's like, oh, gosh, is this what we're really doing? I'm not saying he can't turn out to be anything, but he leaves a lot to be questioned in college when he relied so heavily on the running game, the defense. I don't know if that's the guy you want to be trading up for. Like this is a blue chip prospect. If the Broncos in their situation, they're so low on draft capital on the heels of trading for Russ and then trading for Sean Payton. Like you lost a lot of firepower in terms of draft capital with that, and you're trading up for McCarthy. That's a rough scenario right there.
I agree. So what I want Denver to do is either take a player at 12, best player available, or trade back and collect more draft assets. But I saw Mel Kiper, his latest mock has Denver taking Bo Nix at number 12. I do not want that. I don't want to reach on a QB at 12 when you have so many other needs on your roster. Either take the best player available, maybe Brock Bowers, a tight end out of Georgia, or trade back and collect more draft capital. But don't reach on a quarterback. I just think so many teams have done it, and a lot of times it backfires and blows up in your face.
Yeah, it's an interesting philosophy because you could look at this. I hear this all the time, right, is if you really believe this is the guy, then draft him. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean jack.
Right. How many teams have believed in their heart and in their soul, this is the guy, and it didn't work out to be the case? Just because you believe in the guy doesn't mean anything. But you could look at it two ways, where if you really believe him and you feel comfortable with, hey, I feel comfortable if I lose my job. It's like betting, right? Go back to gambling, Chad. If you're like, if I lose this bet, I'm just going to shrug my shoulders and say, hey, whatever. But I loved that bet going in. I'd rather make that bet than let's flip a coin. Maybe it'll go my way, So I get that in terms of how much you believe in a player, but there is something to be said for, hey, man, let's just take a shot, Let's Juan Uribe this thing, a guy who just swung from his heels, and if he makes contact, that ball is going to fly out of the ballpark, There is something to be said for just try it, because you got to find a quarterback somehow, some way, and you're not going to find one if you don't try.
Yeah, that's true. I look at the Patriots the same way as you mentioned. That roster is so depleted in talent, and you've got a new coach in Gerard Mayo. If they're locked in and let's say they love Jaden Daniels, and they're not really high on Drake May, and let's say Daniels goes 2 to the Commanders, the Patriots may want to look at taking one of those quarterback desperate teams who want to trade up and collecting assets and move back. If they did that, I would understand the logic behind that. If they said, look, we have a lot of holes we need to fill. This is going to take some time. We don't really believe that Drake May is worth the number 3 pick, so we're going to move back and collect more assets. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, right. I would too. And that's what becomes so interesting about the draft is, let's just say that scenario plays out. If the Patriots pick up the phone and call Denver or call Minnesota and say, hey, we're open for business. If I'm Minnesota and I'm Denver, I'm thinking they don't want to draft Drake May.
Yeah.
if that's the scenario, right? So now it becomes high-stakes Texas Hold'em of, do you make that trade and move all the way up where it's going to cost you even more? Or do you play a game of chicken and say, we're calling your bluff. We can see you don't want to draft Drake May, and we're guessing that you're not gonna unless we make this trade. So that's when it becomes really, really interesting.
We're talking with Brian O, Fox Sports Radio. Do you think Caleb Williams is a can't-miss prospect?
I wouldn't go that far because there's always that possibility where it doesn't pan out. I think he's an incredible prospect. I think there's some fine-tuning. It's weird. His greatest strength can be his greatest weakness in the NFL. He's such a creative quarterback. He can make plays happen when he's playing a little bit of sandlot, off schedule, just creating. Think about Russell Wilson. I called him Russell Copperfield for the first 10 years of his career. That was a big part of his success, just extending plays. Big Ben Roethlisberger was a great sandlot quarterback. So I see that element, as everybody does, with Caleb Williams. But in the NFL, it can't be relied on as heavily as he did in college. So you think about Mahomes. Mahomes is great in terms of creativity, but he is on schedule a lot, where it's 5 steps, get rid of the ball. It's 3 steps, first read not there, second read, boom, ball's got to come out. He does that a lot. And so I think that's what Caleb Williams really has to do, is find that middle ground where he's still incredibly creative, but it's a strength, not a weakness. Because, man, in the NFL, you just don't have the same amount of time, and that ball's got to come out or it's going to be a sack.
All right, what do you think about what the Steelers did, clearing out their quarterback room, signing Russell Wilson to $1.2 million, and then making the deal for a 6th rounder for Justin Fields?
It's weird, isn't it? It's a pretty weird offseason. I like the first move. It's $1 million for Russell Wilson, If Denver's picking up the tab, why not? There's so much Russell Wilson slander. I'm not going to make him out to be a top 5 or a top 10 quarterback. But the numbers he put up last year, that's better than having to pay $1 million for. You know what I mean? I just think it's gone too far with Russ sucks, Russ is washed. The 2 seasons before 2023 were not good, especially that first one in Denver. But last season in Denver was not as bad as a lot of people made it out to be.
I agree.
And it's better than what the Steelers had last year. You had the 3-headed monster of Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky. Their numbers were freaking terrible. I think they combined, I have to look it up, Chad, but I think they combined for something like 13 touchdowns and 9 picks between those 3 guys. It's like Russ gave you double the touchdown passes practically. So I think he's an upgrade. And that team, in spite of those quarterbacks, still won 10 games last year. So I think it was a decent pickup for Denver. And then you get Justin Fields for a 6th rounder. I get it, but, man, the NFL couldn't have said more loudly, we don't think Justin Fields is anything close to a difference maker. And I would absolutely agree with that.
What do you think about the fit with Cousins and the Falcons?
I like it. I think that you look at Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator there, some of the same concepts and principles that Kirk Cousins had there in Minnesota, certainly under Kevin O'Connell. So I think that makes sense. And I can't wait to see those top 10 offensive players, what they're capable of. We don't know what Kyle Pitts, what Drake London, what those guys are really capable of yet in the NFL. Because look at their quarterbacks, man. They had Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. You upgrade to Kirk Cousins, who everyone loves to clown, but the guy puts up numbers. You're going to get a true sense of what those guys can be because Kirk Cousins is way better than what they had.
All right, I want to know, which fit do you like best? Saquon with the Eagles or Derrick Henry with the Ravens?
I like Saquon with Philly more because a couple of reasons. Jalen Hurts took so many hits running the ball, and I think this is going to help lighten the load as far as that goes. And I like Derrick Henry going to Baltimore, but they led the league in rushing last year. All these people make it sound like Baltimore was 25th in rushing, and oh man, finally they've got Derrick Henry who can do something for the running game. I think in the playoffs, right, they're less likely to only have 6 carries to their running backs, which was a football crime by Todd Monken.
Well, what were they doing? I don't understand. They run the football better than anyone. They get into the AFC title game, and they're like, screw it. We're just going to drop back Lamar Jackson every day.
Yeah, let's air it out with Lamar. That's his strength. Yeah. Terrible. Just awful. But that argument makes sense to me, where with Derrick Henry there, I think they're less likely to be dumb to that extreme again. But again, they were number 1 in rushing. And the other thing is they've lost 3 of their offensive linemen, their starters. So they've got to do some work as far as that goes. Like these things called offensive linemen, kind of important for the running game. And I know Lamar puts a lot of stress on a defense, and that's going to help Derrick Henry and vice versa with that running game. So I'm not trying to say it doesn't do anything. It does, but when you led the league in rushing, it's only going to do so much.
Hey, Brian, I know that, like me, you're a man of clock integrity, and I really want to honor the clock. So if possible, if you have the time, can we take a break and then bring you back on to close out the show? Because I have more football questions for you.
Man, that sounds great to me, and I always take my hat off to you, and I do it even more so when you showcase that you are a man of clock integrity.
All right, Brian O. Fox Sports Radio going to close out the show with us next as we continue to talk ball. All right, high five time. Brian Noah is sticking around and going to stay with us the rest of the show, which is cool. We got to talk some more balls. Shacker, who's going to get your high five today?
Well, I'm excited about this one. With Netflix's show last summer, Quarterbacks, I've been thinking about, what are they going to do this year with you got Marcus Mariota and Kirk Cousins switching teams? But I just read today the follow-up to Quarterbacks, they're going to do a show called Receivers. This summer, Netflix is releasing a show called Receivers, and they're going to be featuring George Kittle and Deebo Samuel of the 49ers. So I can't wait to watch that this summer.
That's awesome. Shacker is a big 49er fan, which is great. Brian, you got any high fives you want to hand out today?
I'm going to give a high five to the ACC. Yeah, Clemson is trying to sue the conference. They're trying to leave over exit fees, and the ACC is like, you basically agreed to this. What are you talking about? So, to give the ACC a high five.
I forgot who it was, but someone put it like this. It's like selling your house and then going back after you've sold it to the new owners and saying, I'd like it back so I can get a better price. It's like, It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
I'm going to give mine out to Anthony Edwards for turning John Collins into a prison movie last night.
Another turnover for Utah. Edwards gets it back and threw it down and won from the rafters.
Hey, no, it's always nasty when you look around and you see the reactions of guys on the bench and on the floor. Like, on both sides, people were just blown away by what had just happened. That was ridiculous.
It was so random because he dislocated his finger.
Yes.
You know? And so Edwards, he started to celebrate for a second, and then he realized his finger was messed up. And so the bench was kind of like that, too. They were like, oh, my gosh, with the dunk, and then his finger was pointing the wrong direction, and they're like, what do we do now? do we continue to celebrate, or is our guy okay? Just that part of it makes it even more memorable.
That's awesome. All right, we have another pair of tickets to give away for the Trailblazers and Nuggets. For all your Trailblazer ticket needs, go to trailblazers.com. We'll take caller 2 right now, 503-248-0620. Second caller in, we'll get a pair of tickets for the Nuggets and Blazers Saturday night at Moda Center, 503-248-0620. All right, I want to ask you this question here. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers, a lot of noise around him with his potential VP campaign along with Mr. Kennedy. They just signed Mike Williams today. Are they going to be okay? Are they headed for another weird disaster?
Well, it's as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they're going to be way, way better.
Yeah,
you know, it's easy.
That's the key.
Yeah, it's easy to clown them right now because of the season that was, but it's like the season that was mostly with Zach Wilson. You know,
that explains that.
Kind of got to keep that in mind. So I think it's too fashionable. It's like, oh, they're never going anywhere. It's like they picked up Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses that shores up the offensive line. You get Mike Williams to go along with Garrett Wilson. You got a good amount of firepower. That defense is fantastic. So I don't understand all the people that were on the Jets bandwagon. It seems like they've completely jumped off of it. And it was a freak injury. If, and this is a big if at this stage of his career, if Aaron Rodgers can somehow stay healthy, they're going to be way better than they were. So, yes, they're absolutely a threat to make the playoffs.
I agree with your take on the quarterback situation. That means everything. You know, you and I talked about this right at the end of the season after the Chiefs won. We were concerned about who they may have to lose based on the salary cap. And then all of a sudden we got word that the cap was going to boost by many millions of dollars. And now Kansas City, they re-signed Chris Jones. They've tagged L'Jarius Sneed. How much of a winner was Kansas City with that cap boost?
Yeah, that helps them for sure. The question is, what's going to happen with Sneed? Are they just going to have him play on the franchise tag? Is he going to be traded? I'm really curious to see what happens with him because he's a huge part of their defense. But as it stands right now, yeah, locking up Chris Jones, you bring in Hollywood Brown. That's an all right move, right? You pair him with Mahomes. So, yeah, I like what they've done so far. The big question is what happens with Sneed. Is he there for at least this next season while they try to go for a three-peat or not?
I agree. And the issue with the league right now, there is a shortage of top-line corners, right? So that's not a guy you want to lose. You need someone out there, especially with the teams you're going to compete against in the AFC with all the quarterbacks.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, man. That's what we kept on talking about is they were led by their defense. that doesn't mean that Mahomes wasn't a huge part of their success, but the bigger reason why was the defense. And Snead and Chris Jones, those were the two main guys. So ask yourself this. If Snead is gone and the defense takes a noticeable step back, is Hollywood Brown the difference maker that shifts it back in the favor of the Chiefs? I don't know about that. So you need Snead back for sure.
I agree. What do you think about the Raiders? They go out and get Christian Wilkins to a massive deal, and I like him, but they went out and got Gardner Minshew. So, I mean, you don't have a quarterback, but you spend that big on the defense. What do you think about the moves by the Raiders?
Well, it really, to me, it's all about the draft. That's another one of the teams. We mentioned the Vikings and the Broncos. You put the Raiders right in there as well as a team that needs a top-end difference-making quarterback, right? Especially in the same division as Mahomes and that defense. Like, you can't expect to get anywhere with Gardner Minshew, no matter how good your defense is, if you're in the same division as Mahomes. So that, to me, is a move where, he's a good backup. He's an okay below average starter, right? But you're not going to do anything of great note. I just think that if you're able to do something in the draft, if you move up, if you get a first-round guy, can you have potential to have a boom quarterback? Because we know what Gardner Minshew is at this point of his career. And so, to me, I like Wilkins. I'm like you, but it's got to be coupled with a young quarterback that has a legitimate upside, and hopefully you hit on that.
I'm so glad I got to talk with you today. I'm already missing ball, man. I'm so glad we have free agency in the draft next month to pull us through the dog days of no football.
Man, wasn't free agency fun?
Oh, rapid fire. The quarterback movement was wild.
It was crazy.
And then
man.
the running backs, because it's a weak draft for running backs this year, all these teams making maneuvers on running backs. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I know. That was random, wasn't it? We were still like, running backs, yeah. And then all of a sudden, there are all these deals being made. You're like, wow, what is happening? This is a blast from the past here. It was beautiful, man. And that is the great appetizer before the draft.
Oh, that's so good. All right, Bino. I appreciate your time. Always a pleasure talking ball with you. Enjoy your night, and we will catch up soon. You're the man.
Chad Doing. Always good to talk with you, man. Hope you have a great night. I'll catch you soon.
Sounds good. Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, national host, hanging out and talking some ball. And right now, Wagner has just defeated Howard 71-68. So game one of the NCAA tournament is in the books. Very nice. Now, Shacker, are you a tournament guy? Will you watch all of the college basketball games? How do you handle that?
Oh, I want to watch all of them, because you've been on the show, but I've been watching out of the corner of my eye. That's one exciting game that's on right now. This is tough competition for your show. Yeah, I want to watch all of them. I don't record them. If I miss it live, I move on to the next game. There's enough basketball to watch.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you record all the football games and watch them live or not, but with the tournament, you just watch as many live games as possible.
Yeah, on multiple devices. If there's like three, there might be a little bit of time tomorrow where there's 4 games going at one time. I want to watch them all live if possible.
All right. We got winners for all of our Trailblazer tickets. Very nice.
You got some happy winners out there. Some of them might call the 5th quarter, but yeah, they're pretty happy with you today. You had a lot of tickets to give away.
That's good. If we can make people happy, I'm all about that. All right. So tomorrow, Justin Myers, my main man, and a little update. He is a destructo when it comes to microphone stands, but I got it repaired last week thanks to Joe. And I was informed by Justin that he has put on self-imposed sanctions to not destroy the microphone stand. So far, so good. It's in full working order right now. I like that, those self-imposed sanctions. He'll be on with Rip City Mornings at 6, and then I'll have the Rip City Drive at 3. Chris Burkhart will have Game Day at 4:30 live from Moda Center, and I'll be on the Trailblazers Radio Network tomorrow. Clippers are in town. The tip-off is at 7 o'clock. Game day starting at 4:30. You guys have a good night. Big thanks to Michael Shacker and to our guest, Dave Bartoo, for the bonus time. Colin Amos in the studio. And, of course, Brian Noe. Have a good night.
Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble.